I've been making 2D art for almost 2 decades now, and recently decided to make the jump into 3D. I thought a good way to learn the ropes would be by recreating some of my old work and turning it from 2D into 3D. Not only would it let me learn the process of creating in 3D, but it would also give me the rare opportunity to be able to dive in and explore some of the worlds and the stories that I've created over all these years. So today, we're going to be recreating this. The story behind this image was, as humans began to explore the solar system more, we found a strange device floating in space. After decades of study, we figured out what it was and how to use it. The device was for teleportation, but not just for a person, for whole ships. It was massive. We decided to begin using it, and what we found on the other side was astonishing. It led to a planet in a beautiful system. After beginning to colonize the planet, we found that there was once a civilization that lived there. From what we found, they used this planet as a sort of utopian vacation paradise. Naturally, we followed in their footsteps and began to colonize it further, eventually building this world into a massive paradise planet, which is now the largest vacation spot in the known galaxy. The story was inspired by the game Mass Effect and a little bit by Star Trek. Some of you probably caught those references in there. I had just played the Mass Effect game and I was getting ready for a vacation at the time when I created this, so there it is. That was the inspiration behind the story, but story time's over. Now I have to figure out, how am I gonna make this in 3D? So the question here is, where do I start? The nebula is the main focus of this image, so I need to figure out how to get that into my scene. I could try to recreate it in 3D, but that would just take me far too long to figure out. So I think the easiest way for me to do this is going to be to go into the original Photoshop file from 2010 and just extract the nebula image and use that on a plane in the scene. I spent nearly 2 hours just trying to get this to look right, and in the end, this is what we get. Not perfect, but good enough. And finally, the nebula is done. For now. On to the planet! This one shouldn't be too hard. I'll be using an asset pack called Planet Creator by Maki Maki. This is a great tool for quick and pretty detailed planets. I need an Earth-like planet with some city lights on it, so I'm gonna go ahead and grab the Terran planet and drop that into my scene. From there, I just added city lights, adjusted the colors on it, played around with the layout, then decided to mess with some clouds, some land features, bit of the atmosphere. Since you can't really see much of the planet in the original image, I was kind of free to have a bit of fun here and make it look however I wanted. But the planet was kind of the easy part, so now that that's out of the way, it's time to start on the more difficult parts for me, which is going to be the gateway as well as the ships flying through it. So the first thing I needed to do was figure out how to make this portal. I jumped into the modeling mode in Unreal and just made a basic cube and then gave it a boolean to get the shape that I was after. Once that was done, I set up the UVs, went on a bit of a journey to get a texture that I liked for it, and okay. That was the easy part finished. Now, I need to create the effect for inside of the portal itself. I had an idea to use something I learned recently. I wanted to take something simple like a crumpled paper texture and give it a bit of a wavy effect. I had already made something like this in a course I took recently from Bad Decision Studio, so I just grabbed the effect from that project file, migrated it over to this project file, swapped out the textures, and there it was. After a little bit of messing around with it, the portal was complete and far quicker and easier than I expected. But the final piece to this puzzle was the ships. Now, I'm no modeler, so my only option was to try and find some free ships online. So I went to Fab and I found a guy by the name of Gerardo Gestel. Hopefully I said that right. If not, I'm sorry, man. But he's got a lot of really cool free assets on his page on Fab. I just kind of grabbed them all and brought them in because I didn't know what was going to work and what wasn't. So I brought them all into my project. It's a little greedy, I know, but in the end, it worked out for me because only one of them ended up working for this project. I added a little bit of a thruster to the back end and then called it good, since in the main shot, the ships are so small and so far away that you really can't see them anyway. So now, the scene is finished. Now it's just time to add some cameras and figure out what shots I want to get out of this. This is kind of the tricky part of converting a 2D image to 3D, is now that I can explore, I don't know where to look. I don't know where to explore. So I got to play around with this part for a while. I got a close-up shot of my planet, the ships, the portal, and finished it off by setting the camera up to view the original image from 2010. All that was left now was just dialing in render settings and clicking that magical render button. That's one of the beautiful things that I love about working in Unreal Engine so far. I've tried Blender a little bit, and my computer just is not good enough to work in Blender efficiently. And Unreal Engine lets me create things like this, and it only took a few minutes to render this. I love it. I'm new to 3D, and I've never tried anything like this before, but man, was this fun. I have almost 20 years worth of space and environment art to pull from here, so I'm definitely going to be doing this kind of a project again. So hopefully you actually liked it. If you made it this far, I'm just assuming that you did. So thanks for watching. Please make sure you hit that like button and leave a comment, or I guess just your favorite emoji. So, engagement. And subscribe if you want to see more. And until next time, take it easy.